Hello and welcome to All Shorts. I want to talk about lumber, Canadian lumber and tariffs, and the fact that Donald Trump shouldn't be charging tariffs. Well, we've just been walking the old dogs that we have, and we bumped into our French friend and they're taking the dogs back now that they are. Well, you see, lumber, timber, wood, trees is something I know about, since something I've worked with all my life. And I know for a fact in the UK we also buy Canadian lumber, as well as here in the EU. You see, we're here in France, we are. Now, the thing is, you see, under the WTO, the World Trade Organization, the rules state that lumber is it should be tax exempt, tariff free. There is no WTO tariffs. Now, the thing about the WTO, you see, there are many countries that are members, such as China, United States, and the UK. It's a way of trading on a level playing field around the world. Hence the World Trade Organization. And if there's a dispute, it's made towards the World Trade Organization, and then they have to negotiate, it goes to court, whatever, and they decide if the tariff, or if there was one being applied, such as this 35% from the United States on Canadian lumber and steel and whatever, whether or not it's fair. And as far as lumber is concerned, they, on more than one occasion over the years, they have decided that these tariffs from the United States, applied by the United States on Canadian lumber, is not fair. It's against the rules. Now, the argument by Donald Trump, they say, oh, well, Canada, they're dumping lumber, they're dumping lumber on us. But they're not. Then they'll say, oh, the Canadian people, the Canadian government, that is, they're applying, giving massive subsidies to timber mills, etc., to the industry, for which they are. But that's not an argument, you see, that's not an argument. They're just basically saying that you're operating unfairly. But let's be honest. Right, and I know it's very difficult for Donald Trump because he doesn't know the meaning of the word, does he? No, like for instance the Jeffrey Epstein files. There's nothing honest about Donald Trump. He can't help himself, can he? He really can't. It comes so natural to him. He just lies and lies and lies and never can remember his own lies. That's the problem with lying, you see. You have to remember your lies. Just don't lie, okay, Donnie? Just don't lie. I know, it's like a disease for you, along with your scabby face. Now, the thing is, you see, regarding lumber coming in from Canada into the United States, no matter what Trump says, is dependent on Canadian lumber for the construction industry, what have you. It just is. Now, Canada supplies around 25% of all your softwood lumber. 25%. And a lot of that comes from I think it's the British Columbia and what have you. And then you've got the hardwoods as well that come from Canada as well. Now, such as oak, birch, maple, also comes from, obviously, Canada, but they come from Ontario, Quebec and the Maritimes for the hardwood. Yeah, I have made notes, just in case I cock up. So, now this tariff, it's not fair. It's not fair. Mark Carney said it several times. In fact, he had a speech the other day regarding the industry and that, And he's right. It isn't a fair tariff, and it doesn't actually make any sense. It's not about fairness. It's not about the subsidies. It's not about dumping. It's about attacking. This is about... It's a way of invading Canada without actually invading Canada. Damage it from within. You see, and that's exactly what they're doing. They are literally trying to damage Canada's economy. And they will. They will damage Canada's economy on the short term. They will. There's no doubt about that, because any changes that need to be made are going to take time to take effect. It's just how it is, it's just whenever you make massive changes, like changing your customer Rotex, you are Rolodex, what are they called? Things called spinny things. Well, anyway, your customer base, you're going to have to make changes which take time. Negotiate new deals, find new customers, and it's not as though Canada hasn't already got an alternative customer base. They just got to try and make up the quantities and the volumes. Now, here in Europe, we would take more. Now, we do have trees and we do farm wood here, but we would take more here. We have shortages because the cost of lumber here is actually quite high. So obviously we would like you to dump a bit of timber here, especially me as a woodworker, dump a bit of timber here and bring the prices down, supply and demand and all that. That's what I would like to see. And maybe a bit of, your hardwoods, and maybe some maple. Yeah, a bit more maple. I do like maple, it's a good timber, it really is. Now, it's all like, with Donald Trump, it's about, over the years, it's been with the United States, between the United States and Canada for a long time anyway, to be fair, but more so under the regime of Donald Trump and this Project 2025, confrontation, then collaboration, confrontation, collaboration. And Mark Carney, a couple of days ago, was it yesterday or the day before, he basically confirmed that it seems to be their remit and how they want to negotiate. Well, not negotiate even, how they want to, treat their suppliers. Now, businesses in the United States are suffering. They are the real victims here. The Canadians are victims, but they have still got a product that they can sell. So they can sell it elsewhere. It's not as though their industry is going to be completely and utterly crippled. There will be job losses, though, in the short term. There will be. Okay, and there will be some changes because there'll be opportunities to make changes because whenever something major like this happens, there's changes, there's opportunities to save money. They'll look at areas, for instance, before employing new workers. They'll look at things like AI and stuff like that. Unfortunately, AI is destroying businesses. Available work positions are being destroyed by artificial intelligence, and it's going to get worse. And any sensible business is going to utilise it, aren't they? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about employees; it's about your bottom line, about making profits and providing a cost-effective product. That's just me being honest with you. I do the same. I've employed people, and it's good people. But if there was something to get rid of, I'd think twice before employing someone to replace them. I think, hang on, can we make a cost saving? Often not, you can't. But now with AI, regarding administration and lots of other things, for instance, like planning your cuts to your lumber and stuff like that, regarding your, whether you're going slab sawn or quarter sawn or whatever, it's going to all be done through AI now. Artificial intelligence can really help and speed that process up. So there are things that you can do with AI that is going to save money. So unfortunately, there will be some job losses anyway, even if the surplus that isn't being sold to the United States, because when you put tariffs on something, you put the price up, and that's basically what's happening, and people will buy less. There'll be less construction because the cost of construction in the United States has increased considerably. I reckon I can't remember what it was last. Just in the last 3 months, the cost of building an average home has gone up by about $10,000 to $12,000 just in material costs because of these tariffs. And we all know who pays the tariffs. It's not the Canadians. No, it's the Americans. It's just how it works. No matter what Donald Trump might tell you, the man's a bloody idiot. And those who still believe that other countries are going to pay their tariffs, they're speaking out their arse, because eventually it filters down. It just does. Product costs goes up. Let's say, for instance, right, even if the Canadians were eating the tariffs, as Donald Trump would say, they would eventually, they look at their bottom line and then they look at their accounts and say, okay, we're not charging enough for our product. So they would end up charging more, eat the tariff, and then your product's dearer anyway. So either way, whatever happens, whether they eat the tariffs or you eat the tariffs in the United States, it's still going to go up in price. Businesses are there to make money. Plain and simple. It's not just about the love of it. You might love what you're doing to make that money, but if a business is not viable, it's not making money, well then it's not a business, is it? It just isn't. And it'll either fold or they'll put the prices up. It's just how it is. Now, you could argue that Canada might increase the subsidies on timber mills and stuff like that, so to make up for losses. There is oh crikey, how much was it again? 1.2 billion fund, an aid package that has been put together by this Liberal government, headed up by Mark Carney, and fair dues. That's it's going to help. Whether it's enough to stop these mills going under, whether it's enough to actually keep the most important mills open, I don't know, because we're talking about massive industries, aren't you? And when you have them, the bigger you are, the harder you fall, and the faster you fall. It's just how it is. It always has been the same, hasn't it? Now, this isn't just the lumber industry. It's not just timber, is it? It's not just wood. It's not just trees being cut down, is it? It's also steel and what have you as well. They're all been affected by Donald Trump's tariffs. But we have to remember also that the United States is not the only customer. It's not. Now, with promises that were being made by the Liberal government, Mark Carney, what have you, regarding house building in Canada, because there's a housing shortage, he's made the promises that, this is part of his campaign to increase house building, and he's been having meetings about that. I sincerely believe that is his goal. He wants more houses to be built. And if you build more houses in Canada to solve the housing shortage, well then obviously you're going to need more lumber, aren't you? You're going to need more of it anyway, so there'll be less available to go to the United States. You say if you increase your house building, like you do in any argument's sake, if you're in recession, what do? Right? What do most governments do? Well, they'll go and borrow more money, right? And then invest. This is a sensible thing to do. Invest that money on the infrastructure. Don't use that money for paying for services and stuff like that. You build more infrastructure. You build roads, you build houses, you build. Because what that does is it lifts an economy that is struggling out of debt. Not out, well, it can out of debt, but also that you create more debt, so effectively, you've got more debt, but out of a recession, You lift the economy out of a recession because people got more money in their pockets, and then that money filters around, you see. The more people have got their tools, in their hands, working on those sites or private builds and what have you, the more money that will filter down around the lower classes as common folk. You know what I mean? It just does. The more people keep buying subscriptions to this, that and the other, more money filters up to the rich feckers. So if you want to improve your outlook as an ordinary individual like myself, somebody who works still, and you want to improve your lot in life, you need to provide work and buy stuff more locally. And the same with food products, etc., buy locally, such as buy Canadian food. And this boycott is clearly going to help there. And that's the same with lumber, it's the same with everything, right across the board. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom just because Donald Trump got out of the wrong side of his bed. Yeah, he can get out both sides of his bed because he sleeps alone, you see. Why would Melania ever bloody sleep with that thing? Can you imagine all the diarrhea and swirling about in the bed, in the dip, where he's been lying and just oh my God, what you think about I just did, oh my giddy aunt, it'll be orange as well, won't it? Oh God, that in his catheter. Well, as you can tell, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, no. Now, this is going to hit Canada's ability, because they have got the ability to, and also their passion to boycott the United States. Obviously, it hits the US economy. But don't forget also, do you realise that Canada's the second largest investor in the United States? Second largest investor. Well, why are they investing in the United States? They're investing in the United States because a lot of these investors in the United States have investments in Canada, and they are interlinked, such as car industries and what have you, They are interlinked. The components, the steel, and, anyway, the stuff, right, to build cars and other products. So what happens when they decide to themselves, well, there's no point investing in the United States because we don't have that relationship anymore? Because that'll be the next thing. It'll be that, when they want to take the money out of the United States, you're going to find there's going to be a corporation tax added onto these people from Canada. That'd be tariffed, like everything else. But that's just Donald Trump's way, isn't it? This isn't just about, he's saying about the money and all that. We're getting all this money, he goes, doesn't he? All this money. Oh, 150 odd billion we've got in the coffers now from tariffs. Yeah, 150 billion of American citizens' money. It's just, are people that stupid not to realise that? Obviously they are. It's not new money. It's old money that's already there in the United States. It's just been moved from one place to another, in this case, into the exchequer, into the US exchequer. Federal. It's just nuts. It's absolute nuts. So, there is something to bear in mind, though. You see, since Russia invaded Ukraine, China has made some changes to where they buy their lumber from. Now, I say changes, still buying a similar amount to what they were buying before from Canada, but there are extra requirements. They've been buying it from Russia. So that market is not quite so buoyant as it once was, but China's just contacted Canada, and they are interested in a free trade agreement, whereas they've been a little bit, how to put it, standoffish regarding a free trade agreement with Canada. So they clearly need something, otherwise they wouldn't be interested, would they? Now that could be a win-win for Canada, and having good relationships with countries that are seen as being our enemy other than Russia. I mean, countries that are a little bit they always sit on the fence, don't they, like China and what have you. I think it's a good idea to have relationships with. It don't just make you economically secure, it makes you actually secure, you help improve your security, as long as you make sure you've got plenty of firewalls up, if you know what I mean. So, anyway, that's my feeling about it all. And as someone who's been working with wood all their life, including Canadian lumber as well, and a lot of maple, making furniture out of maple, done loads of kitchen units and stuff like that, made out of solid maple, over the years, furniture, it's a lovely timber to work with, it really is, it's for me it touches the heart a little bit, really, because it's something that I've got a love for. I love trees. I love wood, and here in France I'm surrounded by oak trees and chestnut, willow, aces. Well, I say aces, not the sort you're thinking about, but we do have a lot of aces, like sycamores and stuff like that. It's a lovely place to live, it really is. We're very lucky. My little house is just over there, in the distance over there, and we've been here now for about 15 odd years, working, in the workshop, making stuff out of wood, still. Anyway, it's time for me to go. Let me know what you think of that. But what triggered this video was a comment. And the comment was that it's been to the court several times regarding the WTO and the tariffs on from the US, applied by the US on Canadian lumber. Well, basically we're legal each time, and they basically won every time. So the WTO is basically holding back funds from via the WTO from the United States. So Canada's actually owed quite a lot of money, I'd have thought. Well, we'll see. Anyways, that's why I like your comments, so please comment down below, because I do read your comments. I can't always reply, but I do read your comments. And yeah, because I learn by them. I think that's fair to say, you know. I'm not a Canadian. I'm an Englishman living here in France. I found it very, very interesting recently. And what's really sparked me on it's really, give me a bit of lift about it. I like strong people, okay? I like strong, decent people. Not Donald Trump, he's not strong. He flip-flops, he's not strong. I like strong people who are decent people. And, I don't know, sparks something in me, the boycotts. And, like, for instance, I uploaded a video last night by Charlie Angus. And he was at the CMX or something, 2025, well, I don't know what it's called, you know what it stands for. But anyway, I was listening to his speech about, he basically got all these leaders in and speaking to all these leaders and trying to encourage them to boycott American products. And, you know, it was an inspiring speech he made, you know. And he's right. He was 100% right. Check out that video. I might tag it at the end of this one because it was inspiring. And Charlie Angus, what a good geezer. Really good geezer, I have to admit. I'm just really impressed, you know. Like he said in that speech, he says, we are very polite or something like that. But you know, calm and polite. But you know, if you upset us, would be your worst enemy. You know, well, that's strength. You know, you just keep out of everyone else's business, get on with your life, make sure that you're looking after your own people and not interfering. And if something does try to tread on your toes, you tread on theirs before they get a chance. You know, like you do, trip them up. Anyway, it's time for me to make a move. But please beat the old like button and maybe subscribe to the channel. A little bell icon, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. And like I said, I really appreciate the comments and what have you. But if you want to support the channel, you can do it on Patreon or buy us coffee, and there's like super thanks and stuff like that as well. The links are down below. But we're also doing a rewilding here in France, where we've got about 2 hectares of land that we've set aside. We've planted quite a few trees, but over 650 so far. And it's it's been quite a nice thing to do, to be honest. And I'd like to thank everybody who's already donated. And it's, you know, basically we put a tree on your behalf, and I'll make a sign to go with the tree, give a memory and what have you. We look after the trees and create little animal habitats, lots of little bird houses and bat roosts, and insect houses, etc. I just sort of try to encourage the biodiversity, and it's working, because we have seen since we started the project. Well, actually before that, because we've been doing it for a while now. Really, officially we started about 2 years ago, but we've seen a marked increase in wildlife. You know, and it's nice to see. It really is nice to see, because they need somewhere to live too. And although we live in a place where there is a lot of trees and stuff, you know, wherever you get a forest, quite often there's a hole cut in the middle because they're farmed. So they keep the perimeter trees and they flatten a big chunk in the middle and sell the wood. That's all very well, but when it's like oaks and chestnut's so bad because you can coppice chestnut and all, but it springs back up again, doesn't it? But you still talk about heavy machinery, literally damaging all the flora and what have you and fauna, and it's a bit sad, really, you know, because all those little critters and what have you get crushed to death. I really do, but not on our land. No, we nurture the little blighters, that we do. Yeah, as long as they don't bite me. Anyway, it's time for me to go and say toodaloo, you know. Toodaloo.